So there's some devastating new audio from a U.S. Customs and Border Patrol detention facility where this audio, in it you hear children separated from their parents, and you could hear them crying while a Border Patrol agent actually decides to make fun of them. Now, I want you guys to listen to this, and it is difficult to listen to it, but I think it's important so that we know what is actually going on in these detention facilities. Let's take a look.
Bueno, aquí tenemos una orquesta.
Okay, so that's real quick. Obviously, you can see the full recording over at ProPublica, who actually received this recording from inside the detention facility. So, look, man, they're obviously speaking in Spanish because, well, they want the kids to know. Well, you can see what he said. We have an orchestra here in reference to all the crying children. And like, oh, what we need a conductor for this wonderful orchestra. Now, look, orchestras make beautiful music, right? That's what they're supposed to do. This is not music. These are children in terror. They don't have their parents. Yet it is an orchestra of tears. These children are alone and terrified in what is terrible conditions. Again, there are different Democratic politicians that run around to these places. There are accounts from children that are being interviewed. Some said that they receive apples and water, and that's it. That's all the food that they get. So these are not good conditions. Now, the administration says, oh, no, they're being well taken care of. Now, getting apples and water once a day they're not good conditions. They're terrible conditions. Just call it what it is. You hate, undocumented children, immigrant children, and you want to inflict as much harm upon them as you can as a deterrent to keep other people from bringing their children here. That's what this so-called policy is about. And look, to be honest, there is no law. There is no policy. Yes, the Obama administration did do something similar to this. I'm not gonna cover for the Obama administration. It was wrong then. It's wrong now. So let's actually do something about it. But we're not. But look, let me get back to the article here. It's from Slate, I believe. The person who leaked the recording to a civil rights attorney who gave the audio to investigative journalist outlet ProPublica said the children heard in the audio clip at an unnamed facility near the Texas-Mexico border were between the ages of 4 and 10. So again, these are young children. These aren't teenagers. These aren't people that are, that they say are involved in MS-13. No, these are children, right? So obviously that is a huge, huge issue. Now, look, personally, if you think this is okay, you're a monster. If you bring up the argument that, again, in order to deflect from what the current administration is doing, that Obama did it too, well, look, then you might as well be caging these kids yourself. Again, if you're using that as a deflection and not pointing out that, hey, man, we've had flawed policy a lot for a very long time, and it doesn't matter the administration, we've been doing this for a while. Okay, that's a fair point. So let's do something about it now that people are paying attention. And that's one of the big problems, is that a lot of people just point that out to point that out. And to say, why are you going after Trump? Why are you going after the Trump administration when Obama did it too? Well, look, it doesn't matter who's doing it. What matters is that we fucking stop it. That's what really matters to me. Now look, one of the girls in the recording, again, you should go to ProPublica and you should listen to that. Begged her aunt, begged the officers to go stay with her aunt. She said, at least can I go with my aunt? I want her to come. I want my aunt to come so she can take me to her house. Now, this little girl had a phone number that she kept telling the agents, that's my aunt, get a hold of my aunt so I can go stay with her. She's here in America. Well, ProPublica called the number and spoke to the girl's aunt, who described the recording as, quote, the hardest moment in her life. Imagine getting a call from your 6-year-old niece. She's crying and begging me to go get her. I promised I'll behave, but please get me out of here. I'm all alone. Again, they're separated from older families. They're put into cages. Maybe they'll have like a blanket here or there, but they don't know anybody. So they're put in with other, children they don't know. This is not right. This is terrible policy. We have to do something about it. I mean, if you think this is good, then you can just fuck right off. This is terrible. And I know that, and I've had conversations with people. No, it's the law. It's the law. You understand. They're just enforcing the law. The Trump administration, that's all they're doing. It was on the books. Again, it wasn't enforced quite as much as the Trump administration is doing now. They are saying we have a zero tolerance policy and we are going to enforce it every time. If you come in here with your family, we are going to prosecute you, and prosecution means separation from your family. That is what they're doing. They didn't do that before because crossing the border was not a felony, it was a misdemeanor, which meant that you did not have to separate the families. This is the choice the Trump administration is making. They want to do this because they don't want these people coming here. And as for the law, yeah, okay, the law can be changed. Now, thankfully, there is legislation that will change that. And besides, again, going back to, hey, Obama did it too, right? Okay, but basically, it's sort of the argument like, you're a little kid and you get in trouble for doing something wrong. You point to your little brother and say, well, he did it too. Why can't I do it? Why can't I get away with that? Nobody should get away with that. Look, at least, again, there is outrage, so we can actually go and solve the problem. Now, I want to give you one more piece of information here. This comes from the American Association of Pediatricians. They said that, quote, the zero tolerance policy can cause irreparable harm to children who have been separated from their parents. Some of the undocumented boys and girls taken away from their parents are also reportedly assigned to different detainees while being processed by Border Patrol agents, meaning that some agents' mistakes could mean kids may never see their parents again. This is going to have long-lasting consequences for the children that are involved. Now, of course, there are some people that are saying, well, look, if it's going to have such terrible consequences, then maybe they shouldn't have bring their kids over here anyway, knowing what's going to happen. Number one, how do they know it's going to happen? If you're in the middle of traveling through Central America from, look, let's be honest, mostly Guatemala and Honduras and El Salvador, this is where most of these migrants and most of these children are coming from, not Mexico, as a lot of people falsely claim. Yes, they have to go through Mexico in order to reach the U.S. border. But anyway, they're saying that why you had to bring your kids? I mean, why'd you have to take them through all that stuff and, knowing what would happen and just to have them get separated from you? Well, that's your fault. You must be terrible parents. Actually, these are good parents. And let me explain why. If you're in a country like Honduras with a corrupt police force, hey, I think I know another country with a somewhat corrupt police force, but I think this corruption in Honduras and these other countries is far worse because there are police that work with drug cartels. And drug cartels, of course, they go and they kidnap young children and they force them to join. That's where you're getting a lot of this gang membership from. Well, if you're kidnapped from your family and you're forced to join a gang at gunpoint, well, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. So that's one of the reasons. Again, crippling poverty, corruption in the government, kidnappings, murders, all that stuff is why these people are coming here and seeking asylum. And when they get to the border and they surrender themselves to border agents, they are detained and separated from their families. And of course, the adults are prosecuted. That's what the Trump administration is doing today. That is a violation of UN law, by the way. And the UN is saying that is a violation of human rights. So this is a terrible, terrible policy change, which, yes, existed on the books before. However, Trump, as with anything terrible the previous administrations have done, has ramped it up to 11 and has made it the most cruel that he could be able to do. And so that's why this practice has to end, and it has to end immediately. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.